What is up, my AKAPADers, guys? Gen 13 Christmas Carol. I've been wanting to bring you guys this year after year. We're finally doing it. Now, you guys know my schedule. I should be back from London by the time you guys are getting this. I should be having my recovery week. We're still rocking and rolling. So let's just hope I had a good time in London. Let's just hope I'm recovering in the best way possible. Guys, no coffee here. It's hot cocoa. I want to make a little bit of a statement about Gen 13 Christmas Carol and the Christmas holiday. I don't care what you believe around Christmas. Christmas is the greatest holiday because it gives us the opportunity to appropriately, aka Patters, my army, appropriately reach out and touch someone. A lot of things happen in the calendar year, my friends. Take this opportunity, take this holiday to forgive and forget and to move on from little baby bickering or anything that may have distanced you from someone leading into this holiday. If that hasn't happened to you, well, guess what? Take this holiday as an opportunity to appropriately reach out and touch someone. People who are a part of your life. People that have affected your life. Take the opportunity. Reach out to them. So here's the crazy thing. I've been wanting to bring you guys Gen 13 Christmas Carol for quite a long time. This is an absolute masterpiece. Tom McWeeny, who's still in the game. I found him on Instagram. Oh my God. I thought he would have 20, 40, 50,000 followers. I don't know. I thought he would still be working in comics to a high level. If this isn't like one of the greatest auditions of perfect storytelling, how someone can be a talent for a title, use that talent within the title, meaning this guy should have taken over Gen 13. The things he understands about the characters in the world and the Gen 13 personalities. Companies used to do specials like this as audition tapes. That's really what they were. It was a way for people to have deadlines, have some skin in the game, draw characters on model, write characters on model, maintain continuity, and all these other things. I always thought this was just kind of like Passover, no pun there, Passover garbage. I just thought this was, they put this out, cash grab, to fill up the comic book shelf, to round out the publishing schedule and the publishing catalog. Holy but Jesus, I was wrong. Let's hit the drawing table. I gotta show this to you guys. I want to go over the story. Let's have a look. Gen 13, Christmas Carol. Merry Christmas, let's go. I cannot talk about this enough, aka Patters. Here's the thing. 1994, that's when we first got Gen 13. 6 years later, in the year 2000, it's still rocking and rolling. And you know what? Please excuse me. I may have said Tom or Tim McWeeny in that intro. Merry Christmas, by the way, guys. It's Tom McWeeny. This guy. So he's like prevalent. He's still illustrating. I don't want to knock his Instagram too much, but this should have done something. And I'm going to lay it out. We get this Gen 13 that, right, like we all, young J. Scott Campbell, this is where he didn't have the J. Scott Campbell style just yet. But we do the miniseries, 5 issues, then we go monthly, and we see, like, his style drastically, like, changed, evolved, got upgraded, he leveled up, as some people like to say. And Gen 13 becomes this, like, self-aware, comedic, superhero teen book. The cast of characters is so good for Gen 13. It is comparable to the Perez Teen Titans. It's comparable to the New Warriors in the early 90s, the Mark Bagley New Warriors. It's there. You can make a lot of like discussion points that it's better than a lot of what I just named. So let's just go. We do Wildstorm, New Horizons. You know, like these had alternate Travis Charest covers. We got Al Rio here, like kind of like drawing in, right? Like he's drawing in a J. Scott style. R.I.P. Al Rio too. But the book just doesn't, like, there's no visual impact. And then around this time, we have guys like Gary Frank and like Steve Dillon. But let's go forward 2 more years. Now you can see that Wildstorm is just throwing, and I believe the studio, some of the art of the studio was being run out of Italy. If you go to the, I would need corrections on this, but Wildstorm had one hell of a blog back in the day, and everybody was training in Italy with Jim Lee. But like you can see, they would just throw anything. But we had Adam Warren, and Adam Warren, like his involvement with Gen 13, really, it brought like a new energy to it, an energy people missed. But look, one issue later, we go to issue 55, and we have Ed Benes here. And we get, like, again, like the Gen 13 being like TNA and grunge, like staring at girls and pissing off Free Fall. Like, right, like these are the Gen 13 beats. But the title, like, loses this momentum. And it's hard to define, because what I'm showing you here is the artwork, where they constantly try to return the artwork back to the early days. You know, we'll call it the center of the early days, right? Return the artwork back to center. And fantastic people tried it along the way. But the book still sold, and it did go. Look, guys, like this is issue like 51 here. But I wanted to show you guys, like we have 51, right? Like you're like, this is not we don't want Gen 13 to look this way. We just don't want it. I think who penciled this? Albert Moy, Jeff Moy. I'm sorry, written by Scott Lobdell, right? But then, you know, not even a full year later, we get Ed Benes. So the art is just, in my view, it's not just the writing, because I mean we have Scott Lobdell, Ben Rabb writing these. We have Adam Warren, and we kind of forget that post 25, they have the like Gary Frank looking era. Well, I know it might be towards the end of the book though, but Tom McWeeny, like this is an audition. He should have got the kit and caboodle. Let's get into this. Let's just look at the cover real quick. Gen 13, nice baby logo. I love the border here. Tom McWeeny, Richard Trend, who, right, I believe Richard Trend does videos just like this. I believe Todd Klein, Jeremy Cox. And on the cover, we got our villain. This is Dr. Frankenscrooge. This is Frankenscrooge's monster. It's not addressed. I think this is Clea, his robotic cyborg, or either all robot henchman. We have the Gen 13 babies here, right? Like we all know this from Arthur Adams and that Mojo, right? Arthur Adams, Mojo, X babies. Wonderful Santa. But then we get these, like, you know, we have this, I don't know, these vials here, right? These, what's that all about? Wow, I'm getting a loss for words, guys, but we have packages and trade. I mean, this is one hell of a great looking cover. You better watch out. So, I will say this. We opened it up perfectly. Like, it's just the wood carving, but we have this, like, in-universe Christmas, like, Dr. Seuss Christmas carol, Christmas rhyme, Christmas hymn. This is so stereotypical. I mean, we even see this in Rob Liefeld's Santa Claus, or Santa the Barbarian. We did that maybe 2 years ago, drawn by Dane Fraga. Ugh. I'm like done with it. But it's essentially the origin of Gen 13 and Project Genesis. And we get McWeeny here drawing. Like, I thought reading this, because like I knew the name. And I'm thinking, like, this guy, right? This guy comes from animation. You could just tell by the shapes. Like, this dude, like, like hunched over. The little dictator here with the monkey, right? I guess that's supposed to be Bloomfeld from James Bond. I mean, look, we have, like, the black razors here. So it's hard for me to read like the Christmas Carol part of it. But either way, I get the idea. We have Helga, right? I think this is Helga. But the tree gets lit up. Freefall puts the star on top of the tree. And we have the kids using all of their powers to get the tree going in their room. And this is fantastic. So, and also, this is why I'm thinking McWeeny was an animation guy. I'm like, oh, he wants to work for, like, Batman the Animated Series. Grunge here works out a whole plan of action of how to capture, get videotape, trick Santa. He maps out all of the trajectory of every single house he's going to hit. Grunge puts in the work. And AKAPADers, I say this time and time again, drawing children is one of the most difficult things any illustrator can do ever in their lifetime. What he does here, and he does miss the mark a few times, but you have to be kidding me. And Fairchild's like, oh my god. Like, again, whenever Grunge comes up with something, it's an eye roll. This is a little bit what I mean about, like, nailing the characterization of the characters. I mean, I even love the tilt of the head here. Just the hands. Like, this is Bridgman, like 101. Fantastic stuff. And then we see the teddy bear, right, being watched. And then it's being watched by Frankenscrooge, or Scroogey Franken. And we have Contessa. This girl's Contessa. Contessa shows up. She's like, hey, guys, we got satellite on Santa. He's like, great. Project Capture Santa Claus is on its way. And then we get into this backstory where Frankenscrooge is emulating his father. He's running I.O., which I absolutely love. When I.O. in the Wildstorm universe, even up to the year 2000, it's got to be portrayed as a equally black and equally white org. And sometimes it can go either way. I.O. at one time was more fearful and deadly than S.H.I.E.L.D. was in Marvel Comics. But that's what I.O. is emulating. And then we get into, like, his vault, right? Like, he needs a handprint. The vault opens and we have all the coal. And he's harnessed, right? And saved all the coal that he got from Santa through all the years. And it's not said, but you want to say, like, this is how they're able to, like, track Santa. There's somehow, like, there's magic in here. So they're, like, kind of like reverse engineering. It's not explicit, but you follow it. And Santa arrives, and then I.O., all the black razors, or the black ops at this point, right? Not really black razors, black ops. And we got Gen 13 hiding, and Santa and the elves start to, but look, I love this drawing of Santa, how he's just, like, stumbling with the puffs of just, like, smoke. Yeah, it's not just smoke. These are, like, motion puffs. I don't know what these are called, right? We see these in animation. This is also why I thought McWeeny was, like, a straight-up animation guy. Because the storytelling here is absolutely purposeful. And what he does, and we see it here on this spread, he like, shows us the beginning and end of one thing on one page, and the beginning of end of something on the other. Like, every single page has a purpose and a theme. That's fantastic. That's real, true comic book storytelling. But, Sana slips on this skateboard, falls, and then, the IO agents are picking up the elves, and they're going to take Sana away. But then Helga, oh yeah, right, she calls them Black Ops. Oh, okay, I'm happy I remembered that. But yeah, she wakes up, their caretaker wakes up. By the time she wakes up and sees what's going on, Sana is back in the lab. Look at the coloring for this. And he wants the list. So Sana tells the elf to give up the list. And now Frank and Scrooge has the list. And he electrocutes Grunge here. Now, here's the thing. Can Grunge absorb electricity, right? Because Grunge is a little bit of an absorbing man. Can he, or does it have to be physical matter, right? I believe it's physical matter. Technically, we can make the argument that electricity is physical since we can feel it. Anyway, the bad guy has the list, and Sana is horrified at what's happening with Grunge. And Grunge is just smoldering there. He's like, tell Sana I'm sorry. So we get to the holding cells, and, well, here we go. The big girl that woke up in the makeup, right? Like, see, this is good storytelling, because, like, we kind of see, like, we know from this page that she wakes up, and she sees everyone's missing, and then the next time we see her, she's inside the lab, because her and the kids were tracking what just happened to Sana. It bridges the gaps. Again, superior comic book storytelling. But Fairchild's like, well, I'm going to get him out. And then it's like, well, I have a solution to deal with Sana and the Gen 13 kids, which is Scrooge unleashes his Frankenstein. We don't call it Frankenstein. We don't call it Frankenstein's monster. I believe they refer to it as a monster, but it's clearly Frankenstein's monster. I love this, AKAPADers, because it's not explicit, and we can follow everything that's happening. New character, we know everything about the character, because we see the bolts, we see some energy cells here. This was like kind of common a little bit in the day for Frankenstein interpretations, but like all the stitches. But look at the way we're drawing these fists here. Like, look at that hand with Burnout. I can never remember his name. Now I do. Burnout. Everyone fights, but look, some of the faces right off, but the ones that are on. And it's baby Fairchild versus giant blue Frankenstein with free fall. So, and here's the thing, Sana's a little bit of a puss, but he comes up with an idea. He goes, free fall, I need your powers. Do you still have that mistletoe? Free fall's like, how do you know I still have the mistletoe? Because she, in the cardboard hideout from earlier, she was trying to get the smoochie on Grunge. See? She's got the hearts. And Grunge is just, But again, like, we're on character, on cue. Sana uses, he like enchants a little bit of the mistletoe. Freefall is able to float it above Frankenstein and Helga. I think I'm getting her name right, but it's a Helga. And then they fall in love and start making out. And then, like, everyone's just disgusted. And then Freefall's like, Sana, we saved the people that came to save us. And it's such a nice, tender moment. This is what I mean a little bit about. We're off sometimes, but either way. And then she's all about Grunge. Because Grunge wakes up and Grunge is like, hey, can't a guy fall into a coma without all this yelling? So we get to, like, the plot. So Frank and Scrooge wants to use the list to disappoint all the good kids on the list, turning them into bad kids and making the world turn against Santa Claus and Christmas. He's bitter. This is his sleigh. They call this really nice design ship here. The sleigh. And then here we go. Rumble, rumble. Frankenstein's monster with Santa on his shoulder. All the elves and the Gen 13 kids bust through the floor. And If you thought all hell was about to break loose, here we go. Our babe here, I mean, see, and this is why I thought he was an animation guy. He rotates the camera. He rotates the shots. He goes from like left side to right side. Like, but it's good and it's seamless. And sometimes we miss the drawings of the kids' faces. But again, I just feel like I got to point that out so you guys know I'm paying attention. I'm not disparaging anything from Tom McWeeny because, like I said, I think this is a masterpiece work. Frankenstein's monster gets blown off the building, and Free Fall dives after him, and we have this amazing sequence where she falls, right? Like how she falls, like, right? But she catches up to him, grabs him, and is able to use enough of her power to save him. And check out that design for the sleigh. And then we get Burnout snatches Frankenscrooge. The sleigh is racing. We have our robot girl facing against Rainmaker, and she's able to electrify the Go-Go Gadget arms. We have Grunge Boogie Time. I mean, look at that hand. Completely destroying her with his own snot. Again, really good stuff. And then we have this fantastic moment where Fairchild is saving Santa with the sleigh out of control because the pilot got snatched away from Burnouts, which we see in the next page here. And then this page here, or this shot is so freaking good because Fairchild's, look, I'll take care of that. Look, Santa, jingle jangle, get down behind me. And we see where, like where she catches it, but it's like torn up. So she fought with it to get a grip to slow down this momentum for like this length. Like, it's just so freaking thought out. We cut to our Go-Go Gadget girl. She's covered in slime. And then they crush her with Santa's baby. And they're like, yuck, we didn't realize, she's like, robot guts are pretty gross. And then we get, like, the hook, right? Multiple hooks here. Frankenscrooge is flipping out at Santa. He's like, you destroyed Christmas for me. All of these years. Like, he's just upset about his being on the naughty. So they go through him being on the naughty, being on the nice. And then he's able to use some of Rainmaker's, like, ability to make a snowball. And in that snowball, Santa, kind of enchants it. And see, we see the snowball here. Like, really good storytelling. And we see that Frankenscrooge's father, that he emulated so much in the beginning, has stole his presents. And he goes, I will, look, the boy is mine to mold. I will not let holiday superstitions or ritual nonsense make him soft. And he burns all the presents. So, like, the father created the psyche that Frankenscrooge has. And then Frankenscrooge deploys all of I.O. and the Black Ops. Maybe some Black Razors, right? I think Black Razors are no longer a thing now. And they fix Christmas. And we see, like, Frankenstein's monster helps. And then boom. See? He becomes like a Christmas guy at the end. This is such a good effing book, guys. And I always pass this up. I just thought this was going to be garbage cash grab. My apologies to Tom McWeeny. Right here, story and art. Richard Friend, incredible on the Yanks. But really, AKAPAD. I mean, even Jeremy Cox here. Like, Todd Klein. Everyone is on another level. If this isn't the audition to give these guys the Gen 13 monthly book, this is a failure of Wildstorm Publishing. It really is. These guys should have got the monthly book. I feel like they understand enough about what makes Gen 13 work. It feels way more like This feels way more like Gen 13 than what we had leading up to this point.